My name is Anthony Ogolla. I'm a PhD student at the Institute of Geography, University of Bonn. My project is Project C03. It's part of the Future Rural Africa project, and basically looking at green futures project. My research is narrowed down to the study region of Kenya, and broadly my PhD topic is raising a question because I'm asking green futures for whom? So I basically look at how global ideas of green are translated into Kenya and how these ideas reconstitute the way in which environment is governed and how also this influences the development discourse in Kenya. In the past, green ideas of development have become so much influential at the global level, and these green ideas have found themselves in the global south countries. And in this case, the green ideas are so much entrenched in the Kenya's development discourse. This is why my study looks at why green ideas are so much in Kenya's development discourse. In doing this, I look at the actors in the green growth agenda and their visions of green growth in the country. I start by, first of all, categorizing the actors, and here I look at international actors, national actors, and the local actors. So the first question that I'm asking is, who is shaping the green growth idea at the global arena? Then the second question that I'm asking is, how is green growth idea infused into the politics, economic, and the social contexts in Kenya? And the third question that I'm asking is, how is the green growth idea translated into local politics and projects? Theoretically, I'm taking political ecology and the notion of power as a framework to, in which I anchor my studies. I also support this framework by incorporating an idea of the traveling models. So basically the traveling models idea is just supposed to assist in my studies to investigate the way in which the ideas are traveling from the global arena to the Kenyan context. So the methods I'm using in my research is, the first method is interviews with the key actors in the green growth agenda, and these key actors cut across international to the local level in Kenya. Then with these key actors, I already interviewed the national actors in Kenya, the county government actors, a number of international organizations and local groups in Kenya. Then the second key method that I use in my study is by way of observation, and the way in which I do my observation is through conferences, workshops, and local meetings that take place in Kenya. In this way, I'm able to get to understand how these ideas are negotiated and who is influencing what at what particular level. The third thing that I did is by way of focus group discussion, and with this focus group discussion, I try to look to engage the local groups and the local people that either are part of the projects being implemented by development corporations, the Kenyan government, or they are influenced with these projects in one way or another. Some of my key results is that green growth idea is basically just used by actors, especially at the international and national level, to legitimize their project. It represents nothing new, but it's just an idea that is reframed and presented with a matter of urgency, but it's not new at all. The second observable thing is that there is lack of commonality on the basic meaning by different actors. This is basically because different actors have their own interests, individual interests and institutional interests in which they pursue. So in the end up defining green growth in a way that suits their interests and agenda. The third thing is that these ideas are fragmented. The projects, programs that are being implemented are fragmented. I find that there are small portions here and there, which to me does not make sense at all and do not in the end translate into the bigger project or the bigger idea that is presented out there. Another thing is institutional conflicts. There are a number of institutions implementing the similar things presented in a different way, and this in the end what I see as institutional conflicts. There's a competition between the country's development blueprint, that is the Vision 2030, the current government's Agenda 4, and the green growth strategy through the green economy implementation, green economy strategy and implementation plan. So when you look at the country's vision, you look at the Agenda 4, and you look at green growth strategy, there's a lot of conflict, because the country's development vision and the Agenda 4 has focused so much on large-scale infrastructural development, which in the end distracts the environment. But when you look at the green growth strategies, it's basically aimed at protecting the environment. So there's a very big contradiction and conflict in the end. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for that question. One of the things that really surprised me was the fact that, when I went to the field, I had this notion or perception that this idea of green growth originated from the global arena, global forum, which is what I had found out from the literature. But then when I interacted with one of the key actors in Kenya, specifically in the funding in one of the funding institutions, and I asked him his ideas about green growth and where he thinks this green growth idea comes from. He told me this idea originated from Kenya. That to me came as a surprise, and I was rather perplexed. And he gave a justification why he thinks that the idea originated from Kenya. And in fact, he told me that he was the originator of the idea way back when he was just starting out as an environmentalist. Yeah, and he gave an explanation of the projects. For him, he gave me an example of Greening Kenya initiative, which is a project that he pioneered. And he gave me a history of how that project evolved, how the initiatives evolved, and got into the Kenya government environmental discourse. So in his opinion, the idea about green growth originated from him and originated from Kenya. Then at this moment, it is just at the global arena, but it originated from Kenya. I would answer that question by saying, by also just leaving it open and saying that, when you go to the field, you have expectations, but then when you get there, rather things turn out to be very different. So it's usually a surprise that is there. So I'm not so sure if I changed the way in which I would conduct this research. Maybe I would get new surprises on the other hand. So for me, I would rather take all the challenges that I face from the field as part of the research and part of what contributed to the results, or the kind of results that my study is coming up with right now.